Good day and welcome. You're watching Maarten NEWSDESK, where we bring you the latest and most important stories around the island and beyond. With your anchor crew, Alston Lawrence, Glenda York, Tiziana Hart, and Mizzy with the Sunshine Report. This broadcast is brought to you by TV15 and proudly produced by Great Bay Media Studios in Philipsburg, St. Maarten. And now, let's jump straight into today's top headlines.
Police investigate assault and armed robbery. The police force of St. Maarten is asking the public for help in two active investigations. In the first case, police are investigating a severe ill-treatment incident that took place on May 3rd. The victim, identified as JJ Jack Tanis, suffered serious head injuries after being attacked by unknown suspects. Police say Tanis required emergency surgery and remains in critical condition. Detectives have developed leads but are still asking anyone who witnessed the incident or has information about those responsible to come forward. In a separate case, police are investigating an armed robbery that took place Thursday afternoon, May 21st, at a jewelry store inside a hotel in Oyster Pond. Police say several suspects dressed in dark clothing arrived on 3 scooters, robbed the store, stole jewelry, and fired shots inside the establishment. Fortunately, no injuries were reported. Anyone with information on either case is urged to contact police at 542-2222 or call the anonymous tip line at 9300. Government activates first ever oversight of GEBE. Government has officially activated the first ever legal oversight mechanism for GEBE under the Electricity Concession Ordinance. TEAT Minister the Honorable Grisha Maarten announced that the Bureau of Telecommunications and Post, known as BTP, has now been formally designated as the independent supervisor of the electricity sector. According to the minister, this marks a major turning point for St. Maarten's electricity system after years of what she described as weak oversight, missing financial data, unstable electricity supply, and growing public frustration over tariffs and fuel clause increases. The minister said the move now gives BTP the legal authority to inspect and audit GEBE, review operational and financial information, monitor compliance with the concession, and verify the methodology behind electricity tariffs and the fuel clause. Maarten also pushed back against calls for government to immediately lower electricity rates without verified data, saying the law requires tariffs to be based on audited operational costs and financial information. She says government's goal is to build a more reliable, transparent, and financially stable electricity system while also laying the foundation for future transition toward renewable energy. St. Maarten partners with Expedia. St. Maarten is launching a new strategic summer partnership with Expedia Group as part of its 2026 summer marketing campaign. Economic Affairs and Tourism Minister Grisha Maarten says the partnership will place St. Maarten in front of global travelers through one of the world's largest travel platforms. The collaboration is expected to increase targeted visibility in key North American and European markets while giving St. Maarten access to traveler insights, booking trends, and international marketing tools. The minister says the move supports a broader shift toward digital-first, data-driven tourism marketing. She also noted that St. Maarten has already benefited from organic global exposure through online creators and digital communities, and said formal partnerships like Expedia help turn that visibility into strategy. According to the minister, today's travelers discover destinations online long before they book, making digital visibility critical for future tourism growth. The Expedia partnership is part of TEAT's effort to support the tourism sector, protect jobs, and stimulate economic activity during the slower summer period and beyond.
Hello, my people. My name is Glenda York of Sit, Sip and Chat and Moms in Paradise podcast. You can find us on TV15 St. Martin, TVC St. Kitts, and on YouTube. Reporting from Great Bay Media Studios in St. Martin, your NEWSDESK feature story is coming up. But first, here is Mizzy with the Sunshine Report.
Hey there, it's Mizzy with the Sunshine Report, straight out of Sunshine City, St. Martin, bringing you the warmth and the sunshine you need to kickstart your day. So let's dive into the forecast and see how the skies are treating us.
Atención, St. Martín, GEBE Inmobiliaria y su asesora Virginia Plasencio te invitan al primer evento inmobiliario en la isla. Este sábado 30 de mayo a las 6 de la tarde en el local Le Resigne Galisbe en Marigó. Invierte seguro, invierte en Punta Cana. Este sábado 30 de mayo a las 6 de la tarde abordaremos temas educativos de inversión inmobiliaria. Invierte en Punta Cana.
VROMI begins Ring Road cleanup. VROMI Minister, the Honorable Patrice Gumbs Jr. has announced the start of a cleanup and rehabilitation works along the Ring Road as part of efforts to ease traffic and improve mobility in St. Maarten. The ministry says the Ring Road was originally designed as a fast lane bypass, but sections have become overgrown and unusable over time. This weekend, VROMI will begin the first phase of work behind 80 Illage Road, from the traffic lights to the Lions Club roundabout. The first phase will focus on clearing, leveling, and restoring access to the road, with the goal of returning the corridor to full functionality. Minister Gumbs says the rehabilitation is part of a broader mobility strategy and is especially important for improving movement for emergency services, law enforcement, and general traffic flow. Over the coming weeks, VROMI will also carry out enforcement actions along the Ring Road corridor. The ministry says illegal construction, occupation, and debris will be halted or removed. Residents and motorists near 80 Illage Road are advised to be alert for increased activity in the coming week. St. Maarten launches Maritime Security App. St. Maarten has become the first Dutch Caribbean island to launch the MOBI app, a digital platform designed to strengthen maritime security and improve compliance. The app supports the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code, known as the ISPS code, and is meant to modernize how maritime security information is managed. The platform helps digitize key processes such as incident reporting, document management, inspections, audits, and compliance monitoring. Officials say the app will give maritime stakeholders secure, real-time access to important information, improving coordination and awareness across the sector. The launch was made possible through cooperation with the Kingdom Maritime Administration, the Port of Rotterdam, and the Port of Amsterdam. TEAT Minister Grisha Maarten says the rollout is an important step in using modern digital tools to strengthen maritime security. Stakeholder sessions were held in April with government agencies, port operators, and maritime partners to demonstrate how the app works. Aruba is expected to launch the Mobi app later this year, with other Dutch Caribbean islands expected to follow. New tourism standards white paper released. A new white paper proposing a national tourism quality and destination management framework for St. Maarten has officially been released, outlining a long-term strategy to modernize and strengthen the island's tourism industry. The document argues that tourism success today is no longer based only on visitor arrivals and marketing, but increasingly on visitor experience, service quality, sustainability, workforce professionalism, digital responsiveness, and destination management. Inspired by tourism standards models in Belize, Bonaire, and Statia, the proposal recommends creating a coordinated framework focused on tourism quality standards, workforce development, sustainability, tourism intelligence systems, and smarter destination management. The paper says the framework would not require major new government structures, but instead would strengthen coordination between existing institutions such as the Tourism Bureau, TEAT, private stakeholders, and industry organizations. Among the proposals are tourism certification programs, digital tourism dashboards, visitor feedback systems, sustainability scoring, and expanded hospitality training initiatives. The white paper concludes that St. Maarten's future competitiveness will depend not just on attracting visitors, but on managing quality, professionalism, and the overall visitor experience across the destination. You can find this white paper on the Facebook page of NEWSDESK. Look for it, NEWSDESK SXM.
Hey there, I'm Venicia Herbert, and welcome to the Community Billboard. This is your space where the people, places, and heartbeat of the St. Maarten community get to speak for themselves. Whether it's an event worth showing up for, a business worth knowing about, or a cause worth caring about, you'll hear it right here. So, settle in, because what's coming up next just might be exactly what you've been looking for. Welcome to the NEWSDESK Community Billboard. To be part of our mailing list, send an email to newsdesksxm@gmail.com.
smiles you help
Make a special day.
SXM.
Community love and care. Thank you for supporting families
and helping us get there.
To be part of our mailing list, send an email to newsdesksxm@gmail.com.
When we come back, we go to our in-depth feature of the day, exploring one of the island's most thought-provoking topics. That's just ahead. Stay tuned.
Let's put everything on the table. People always give their opinion, and you can either take it or crunch it. Let them judge. We give in to the most irresistible flavor. We devour every nugget that falls in our hands, especially when it's our crunchy fried chicken. And let the crumbs fly if needed. Let them keep judging. We'll keep indulging. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
You could talk to your family, talk to your friends. Affordability and convenience. Community connection, that makes sense. Reliability with experience. Hey, for every life, every adventure. Number one provider, they got ya. We tell them your data is always on. You can opt out whenever you want. Tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want the road. Control my data, yeah, yeah, yeah. Always connected every time, everywhere. Money low, but I never fair. I know, tell them is there. Connectivity, that's what I like. Flexibility, that's what I like. Reliability, that's what I like. Tell them, sign me up for life. Tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Come tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to go. Come tell them we always on. For every moment when you want more. Tell them we always on. Stay connected when you want to road.
Before we wrap up, we take a moment each day to check in with our neighbors across the region. There's always a story worth paying attention to. Here's today's regional headline.
In our regional report, U.S. tightens green card processing rules. The United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, known as USCIS, has announced a major policy shift that could affect many Caribbean nationals seeking permanent residency in the United States. Under a new policy memo issued on May 22nd, most people currently in the U.S. on temporary visas may now be required to return to their home country to complete their green card application process through a U.S. embassy or consulate. The policy impacts individuals on student visas, work permits, and tourist visas who previously may have been able to adjust their immigration status while remaining inside the United States. The USCIS says the move is intended to align immigration processing with what officials describe as the original intent of U.S. immigration law. The agency says temporary visas are meant for short-term stays and should not automatically become a pathway to permanent residency. The policy could especially affect Caribbean nationals from countries such as Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, where many immigrants enter the U.S. through student programs, temporary work visas, or seasonal employment opportunities. For example, healthcare workers, hospitality employees, and international students may now face additional travel requirements, delays, and costs if they are required to leave the U.S. during the residency process. U.S. immigration officials say expectations may still be granted in extraordinary circumstances, but each case will be reviewed individually. Immigration attorneys across the region are now closely monitoring how the policy will be enforced and what long-term impact it could have on Caribbean families and workers already living in the U.S.
Welcome back. Each day we take a moment to go beyond the headlines and look deeper into the issues, people, and conversations shaping life here on St. Maarten. Welcome to today's NEWSDESK feature.
Good day for our NEWSDESK special and featured interview. Again, we would like to welcome back government employees from ESXM. What's up? How you guys doing?
Thank you for having us.
Fine, thank you.
I know you guys long time, but introduce yourself.
So, Femi Badajo, head of IT for Government of St. Maarten, and also the lead for the digital leadership team, which is the implementing team that is, overseeing the project from the government side, of course.
Right.
And with me, I actually have my colleague.
Good morning, everyone. Michelle Williams from the ICT department, senior project manager, and really busy with Femi and the team for implementing a lot of these different projects.
I love that. Busy. You know, we had a couple months ago, we had our first interview.
Yeah.
Where is the project now?
So we've really transitioned heavily, and I think it was highlighted before as well. We've transitioned more into a delivery phase right now. So right now we're implementing a lot of solutions. A lot of projects are ongoing, so it's keeping us very busy, of course. And so, we're getting closer and closer for things to be coming out to the public, and this is an opportunity for us to start to, publicize what we're doing and publicize what is to come, and hope everyone gets prepared for it.
Could you explain one more time, because you just mentioned in the delivery phase, we're going to get into the public's going to need to know because they're going to be involved. Could you explain e-services and what sort of data exchanges could we expect?
Yeah, so with the e-services, and I mean currently right now we have a portal online that you can request services and so forth, right?
Oh, yes, like registration forms.
Exactly. Pay for your vehicle tax and so forth online.
I think I recently heard licensing department is.
So we've been working with them as well, and of course continued engagement with them. However, we're looking at how do you redesign that and make it even more simpler and easier for the public, not only to access services, but just go through the whole process, full transparency and so forth. Right now, there's still requirements to upload, for example, proof of identification and so forth. So you might have to upload your passport or your ID and so forth. So, but with things like EID that we're also, currently working on and so forth, and with the redesigned e-services platform, electronic service platform, the idea is that you will be able to have much more simpler process. You won't have to be required to upload these type of documents that we already have and that kind of stuff. So, and then when you talk about a data exchange, that is where some of those things really gets, seen or not seen actually, but you just feel it at the end of the day. So,
yeah, because it feels like the end of the runaround, as we would call it. When you have to go to one department, take a document.
That's the goal.
Go to another department.
I think also it even goes further than that, because it's also about sometimes you have these processes where it jumps from the digital world on the screen back into the real world, and then you have to scan something and get it back digital. And we're really trying to now go make these processes as seamless and as fully digitalized and automated as possible, so that you're not jumping from send this but scan that, and we'll send you back something so that you can print it, sign it, send it back to you. So we're really trying to digitalize and simplify those processes.
I don't want to. Nobody quote me on this, but this is just an example, so more people can maybe understand. So let's say I go to somewhere in VSA when the system is totally integrated. I go somewhere in VSA and they require me to have to bring a passport or bring a registration paper, a proof of address. So are you saying? And this, I know this sounds weird. So happy to have this reaching 2026, but it's here. So I can go to this one and whatever they need, they can just, with a data exchange, you can just pick it up from somewhere else.
Yes. So the idea behind that is, of course, whether they need to sort of pull it or validate the information, confirm that this actually exists and this is accurate and so forth. The data exchange system would allow that to happen seamlessly between the systems. I'm happy with the example you gave actually, because you mentioned about going in person, in fact, or whatever. deliver. And I wanted to highlight that as well. So we're not going to eliminate, the in-person, contact and service at the end of the day. In fact, one of the projects that we're about to, get into the procurement phase for is the modernization of the public service center. So,
the PLC.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that, the look and the feel and how the queues are managed and, just it's more comfortable for, persons when they come in, residents when they come in and interact with government. But at the same time, because we're now interacting and exchanging this data systematically between, different departments,
Yes.
The service, the level of service delivery actually is improved. So
and the efficiency.
Awesome.
And the efficiency behind of it.
Yeah, the efficiency is important.
Yeah, but so it's not only, the benefit would not only be felt by people who are trying to consume it digitally or online with their digital identification, but even if you come in person, the efficiency of those processes, not having to run around to different departments, or that clerk being able to help you and get a lot of it automated and pull up that data themselves, those efficiency will be felt as well, even for those individuals who may not want a digital ID in the future, because it's an option.
It's going to feel like we discovered fire, because also the government employees themselves, the clerks, I imagine this becomes a lot simpler for them.
Exactly. So it does take the burden or reduce the burden on the clerks and the workforce itself. Which is also one of the goals as well. So it's a benefit across the board for everyone. And as Michelle mentioned, even if you come in person, I mean, we're even looking at kiosks that we're going to be implementing at the different public services and so forth, where you would get assisted. So you're not going to just be left alone, of course. But the idea is that there's multiple channels of being able to access the services, but you feel the benefit of this data exchange, this electronic ID and so forth at the end of the day.
Amazing. One more I want to get through in our first, because this is a two-part series. One more point I want to get through. What about eVROMI? We've been hearing this from all over. What is eVROMI?
So eVROMI, we're introducing, in the simplest way, a proper way of managing addresses for the island, right? So before, there was no proper systematic way of doing that. So we've introduced a solution, address management solution for the Ministry of VROMI, particularly Permits Department, where now they would actually be able to manage the whole life cycle of an address. So from the time an address needs to be created, a new road or a number or whatever the case is, to the time where maybe the road split and so forth. Now you have to create a new road and a new address.
Deal with that
so the ownership not, but the official address. Right. So, and we're talking about even as little as things as the way it's spelled. Does this address actually exist? Yes or no? I mean, the Permits Department is responsible for that. So we've seen issues before where we're accustomed of the way that culturally we have, for example, salt reward. We always refer to it as salt reward, but it's actually reward.
Reward, yeah. Reward. And then you got upper and lower Princess Quarter.
Exactly.
Princess.
But they refer to it as princess, but it's actually princess.
Yes,
exactly.
Apostrophe S.
Oh yes, it is princess.
So
that's how you were going to KB and Colby and
okay, so you know of it. So but a lot of people culturally, I mean, we grew up knowing it one way, where officially it's actually a different address, right? Yeah. And all these other systems that have their addresses stored, I mean, they're capturing it in one way or the other. So now you're creating not just a way to manage the address, but like a full database of the official addresses that everyone eventually can tap into.
And that's official. With I'm sure, GPS points.
Exactly.
Amazing. We're going to do this in 2 parts. So this is the end of the first part. When we get back in the second part, I'm going to ask the tough question. Right here on NEWSDESK.
That's all the time we have for today's edition of St. Maarten NEWSDESK. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, new episodes premiere every weekday at 8 a.m. on TV 15 and across all our social media platforms. From all of us here at NEWSDESK, we wish you a fantastic week ahead. Until next time, stay friendly, St. Maarten.